We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
As someone in witness protection, I can't tell you anything about myself. But believe me, I'm not your average consumer. That's why I switched to Liberty Mutual. They customized my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. And as a man, or a woman, with very specific needs that I can't tell you about.
Mr. Woods?
Oh no.
Hey, let's get his autograph.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Today on To Tell the Truth, we meet a man who is changing the national view of socialism and communist thinking in America. Using the persona of an ever-increasing golf legend, but the real goal is much more sinister than anyone could ever imagine. Contestant number 1, what is your name?
I'm Tiger Woods.
And contestant number 2, what is your name please?
I'm Tiger Woods.
And contestant number 3, what is your name please?
I'm Tiger Woods.
One of these 3 men represents the most dangerous man in the world today, other than the global dictator we already know. We'll find out now who he is today on To Tell the Truth with Bill Collin as your host.
All right, panel, please read along with me as I describe this black supremacist. I, Tiger Woods, am a leading golf player with the Professional Golfers Association of America. Since winning my first tournament, I have progressed through the ranks to become the greatest of any professional golfer in the world today. I have also gained the same following of worshippers as our previous president, Barack Hussein Obama. He, like myself, has but one goal for the future of mankind: the complete abolition of the white race and the total submission of the once great nation known as America, to the advancing New World Order. Adolf Hitler once said he intended to create a new race of Aryan Germans whose distinctive blue eyes and blonde hair would differentiate themselves from any other race in the world. Now, totalitarianism will bring about the next race of superior blood, the African. America will submit to our long-term goals for a socialist regime, controlled from the Democratic Socialist Party and financed totally by the Illuminati, which had its beginnings in 1774 when the American nation was finally made an independent nation. Though America was once a slave nation, it will soon be again, with the white race itself being slaves to the ever-growing power of blacks, also calling ourselves African Americans. Signed, Tiger Woods. All right, panel, each of these men claims to be the protagonist, Tiger Woods. Let's begin the questioning with Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you, Bill. Candidate number 1, why even do this kind of thing to divide our nation even more than the Democrats have already?
It's inevitable. This world has been progressing towards oblivion for many centuries, and today we see how degenerate our world has become. Many will die as a result of what we have started, but we will have purged the ones from society who endangered our goals, and that's the final outcome we hope for.
Candidate number 3, are all whites under this subjugation proceedings, or are some exempt from this policy?
This overall program is to bring about a utopia. We saw how the gays and the bisexuals were being treated by society and we gave them what they wanted. Acceptance and superiority over their enemies. Some races will be subjugated, yes, but overall it will be for the good of the entire world that we accomplish this.
Candidate number 2. Do you use subliminal suggestion to control individual people or just as a global rhetoric?
Oh yes, we use subliminal suggestion in everyday events on high-definition television broadcasts. We send messages to the world at large for various reasons. In this country, we directly influence violent outbreaks anywhere in the country based on what we want to project to the public. That's why Parkland happened and many student killings in high school. Time's up, Kitty. Let's go now to Joe.
Thank you, Bill. Candidate number 2. You sure smile a lot. Are you hiding something from the panel, or maybe your face is stuck in slow motion?
No, I'm just laughing because of the idiocy of people like yourself who thinks this whole thing couldn't really be happening in America. I laugh because you've seen this happening for a long time, only now do you realize the whole thing has been happening to your neighbors and you can't understand it.
Candidate number 1. Do you really think our world has only 12 years left to exist because of global warming, or is this whole thing another ploy by Dan Quayle?
I do. Our nation is the most polluted country on Earth for emission gases. China is the only other country with the amount of pollution that is destroying our ozone layer. I think the end will happen in less than 10 years' time.
Candidate number 3. Why can't all people be equal and let's just forget about this whole thing? Really? This is ridiculous. Is this retribution for the Civil War? To say this is retribution is to say to gain payback, and yes, that's what we are accomplishing with this cleansing of races. I won't say we are committing genocide because we don't see it that way, neither did Adolf Hitler.
Okay, now let's hear from Peggy Cass.
Thank you, Bill. Candidate number 2. Who makes up this Illuminati you talked about? Are they here in America or all around the world?
Well, that's kind of hard to answer. Every year, the Illuminati meet in different countries and decide who will bankrupt and who won't. They decide who will control the world banks, and whenever something happens that affects world markets, then sometimes those who made those decisions are eliminated for one reason or another. It's called socialism and it isn't going away anytime soon.
Candidate number 1, do you have the ability, as an organization, to manipulate minds to do acts of violence as well as thought control?
The simple answer is yes. If you remember, Edward Snowden told the world that we have been doing this since the early 1990s. That's why the government went after him so quickly, because once he told the world what we are doing, he had to be stopped, and quickly. Today, he's in Russia because we can't reach him there.
Candidate number 3, this is scary to think about. Who is the ultimate control over your organization? I mean, who is the main CEO?
It is scary, I admit, but the one person who is behind this program of extermination is our great father, Lucifer. He brought power to the women first and now is continuing his next stage of the final act, eliminating the inferior races of the world.
Finally, since we have no host seating, I'll ask my own questions. Candidate number 2, what can we all expect to live under when the New World Order is in full control of every civilized nation on Earth? I would say we already are seeing it happen in the United States, Bill. Most pretend we aren't gone as a nation, but we are. More and more, our freedoms are disappearing, and you know we are every day. You saw it in Venezuela a few months ago, power outages and people starving. That's what you can expect in America now. It's only begun, Bill. Candidate number 1, do you think this whole philosophy is right for humanity, or is this some kind of attempt at a coup?
I think that's been answered already with what has been taking place since 2008. The only way a coup could ever happen in America would be if enough mindless people suddenly did realize what was happening and revolted. I don't ever see that happening in America.
Candidate number 3, if Adolf Hitler had won the Second World War, don't you think he would have exterminated the black race as well as the Jewish race too?
That is a very high probability because his hatred for the Jews extended even to other races who also were seen as inferior. The Polish and even the Russians were singled out for extermination by Hitler.
Well, my time's up now too. Let's now each of us make our decision on either candidate number 1, candidate number 2, or candidate number 3. Personally, I think they all are Mr. Woods. They all have that sinister kind of look on them. But
I think it's number 1. He looks like a politician to me. Those devious eyes. Ha 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 ha.
I think it's number 1. Of all 3 candidates they look like the same kind of personality, but number 1 looks more like a sportsman than the other 2.
I think it's number 1. Number 3 is too demonic looking to be a sportsman, myself. Number 2 looks like a waiter when he smiles all the time at everyone.
since I have to decide on one candidate, I choose number 1 also. I guess we all can sense there's something evil about this whole thing. That's why we all made the same decision, I think. No discussions please panelists, let's just each one make his or her own decision. Well, the panel have made their decisions. Now let's see which candidate is the real Tiger Woods. Would the real Tiger Woods please stand up? Ha ha ha, candidate number 1, what is your name, sir, and what do you really do?
My real name is Martin Luther King, Jr. I am a preacher from Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia.
Candidate number 3, what is your real name, sir, and what do you really do?
My real name is Barack Hussein Obama. I am a former president and now reside in New York City and continue my global plans for a new world order, and yes, I am the Mahdi and the Antichrist.
I think I can say for all of us on the panel, we regret this whole matter will ever happen and hope someone like President Trump can stop it from becoming a reality in this nation. Thank you all for gracing us with your ominous presence and hope we never see any of you again. Goodbye.
To Tell the Truth, hosted by Bill Cullen, has been a Mark Goodman, Bill Todman production. This is a Fremantle company and owns all rights to this show. No character portrayed was compensated for their appearance on this program. This program was pre-recorded. Nothing shown was endorsed by the Illuminati or the Socialist Democrats. We hope this was an informative account of what is about to happen in this country. Pray that Jesus Christ will return soon, because without his intervention, there is no hope for this nation or the people who live here. Only anarchy and enslavement can be envisioned for a world gone astray and totally upside down as we have today in America.
His name is Omran Daknesh, just 5 years old, and his feet barely hung over the edge of a seat in an ambulance. Dazed, he didn't cry as he wiped away blood and the dust of a building that collapsed around him in an airstrike. His silence somehow reminded the world today of its silence in the face of the atrocities in Aleppo. Omran was pulled out alive Wednesday. 5 other children died when the building they were in was hit during the relentless Syrian-Russian offensive on rebel-held areas in Aleppo. The image of Omran's face spread like wildfire on the internet. One tweet called him the real representative of the Syrian people.
Stop killing Syrian innocent people, civilian. Our children need to live in peace.
The doctor who treated Omran said today there were many more severe cases no one is paying attention to.
We need to protect our hospital, our doctors, our medical workers from airstrike.
Omran was recovering. His family now wants to escape. The same choice another boy's family made a year ago, Aylan Kurdi, whose body washed up on a beach. He too was a symbol of Syria's youngest victims. Now there's a new one. Tomorrow there may be another. Richard Engel, NBC News.
They've reported from around the world, challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
The images shocked the world. Relentless bombings. Stunned survivors.
Hi,